Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode talk of Peacemaker Season 2, baby, yes! We're back on Friday, and we are gonna be back on Friday until this damn show ends, because of the fact I don't have to go to my mom's place anymore, so yay! Anyway, big reveal, and I don't like it, because it's the easy answer, and I hate it. Look, it's the easy thing, however, the ending I did not expect, because I got spoiled by the ending of this episode, at least one image, when I was, well, on Twitter, but also looking up, an image for like the thumbnail, because I like to use two images and kind of smash them together into a thumbnail, that kind of stuff. But I was spoiled on Twitter because, first of all, no, Trump is not Hitler. MAGA aren't Nazis. If you want to call Trump like a dictator or something like that, I'm not necessarily going to argue with you specifically. However, he's not that, okay? But I've seen some people be like, oh, this is like America today. Really? America isn't as bad. You are downplaying the Nazis, and it's really bad that you are downplaying the Nazis, because they were horrifying, absolutely horrible. And well, on this Earth, yeah, Earth X, yay, we're here. All right, let's get into the episode then, shall we? So the family on Earth X is having a dinner at the cafe with Amelia Harcourt, and then the kids want to take some pictures, so the picture gets taken, obviously. So then we go back to our Earth for the rest of this for like a big chunk of this episode, because the gang needs a place in order to open up another portal, which I still find stupid that they can't detect it anymore, but whatever. That is also kind of a plot point in this episode, and I'll talk about that later. But anyway, we go to Adrian's place, because who knows who Adrian is. And apparently Adrian had decided to tell his mom that he was in a relationship with Harcourt. However, it ended because she is an SLUT, boys. So yeah, we get a whole thing about that, which I actually thought was actually funny. It was awkward, but it was funny too. And also, when we get into Adrian's secret lair, turns out that he has taken the drugs and money from drug dealers that he has taken out over the years, and he just has like a room full of money and drugs. Like, what? Why? So then, Leona puts the thing down. She opens up the portal door, obviously. First, everything gets sucked in. Then everything gets blasted back. Everyone gets drugs all over them, which is going to be a plot point later on. However, the thing is this was not as violent as the other time. Like, the other time when Chris opened it at the shed, like, that was violent. This time, it wasn't really all that violent. Like, Chris had to leave the house. This time, they could just stand at the other end of the room. But the portal opens up. They go through it, and they see the xenomorph creature once again, so that's nice. And he still doesn't say hello back, so now they're searching for which door is correct, and they find the stack of Peacemaker helmets, and they know which door it is. However, now we need the code. Luckily enough, Adrian knows the code, so they put in the code, door opens up, they go through the door, and welcome to a brave new world. That's a Star Set reference. So they explore the house a little bit. However, as they get to Chris's room, everyone has to hide except for Harcourt, because the brother is home, which we didn't know. And apparently Chris is at A.R.G.U.S, and apparently Harcourt kind of talks her way into like, oh, I was here for this thing, this snow globe. And luckily enough, she grabbed the only thing that their mother left them. So, hey, luck of the draw, I guess. And then he offers her a ride, and she accepts, so they go on a ride. Also, Adrian wants to find his other self, so he heads out in order to find his other self. So then Chris, turns out he is not at A.R.G.U.S, instead is at Harcourt's place, and she's under the shower, and Chris is like, I'm gonna go to A.R.G.U.S, you coming with? She's like, I'll arrive later, don't worry about it. So he goes to A.R.G.U.S alone. So then the brother and Harcourt, they get to A.R.G.U.S, and when they get inside, the dog starts to bark because of the fact that, well, she got sprayed with some drugs. So that was not necessarily the smartest idea. So she gets put in a room, but before she gets put in a room, Chris walks in, sees her. So she gets put in a room. He goes eventually to the room as well in order to have a discussion with her, because of the fact that, well, they weren't supposed to come here, or at least she wasn't supposed to come here. And also, he wants to know whether she loves him. And also, they have a little bit of talk about Rick Flag Jr., about how he cheated on Enchantress in order to be with Harcourt. Meanwhile, Adrian, he gets to his house. He opens up the door, goes downstairs, and then apparently the keys work on the lock. So he opens up the secret lair, and in there, he sees himself. And initially, it looks like this is a darker version of like Adrian, but no, absolutely not. He's just the same guy. Absolutely the same guy. There's nothing different between the two universes. Also, at A.R.G.U.S, Rick Flag is very upset upset about all of the bad stuff that has happened, and also the fact that John and Harcourt are MIA as well. So he wants to go to Bell Reef Prison in order to meet a prisoner, which was already teased for a while now that he was going to do this. So he goes over to that prison, and it's Lex! Dude, like, I know people were stating that maybe it wasn't going to be Lex because we got, like, preview images of later on in the season, and in the preview images, which, by the way, I couldn't find an image of Lex. That is why I did not put Lex Luthor in the thumbnail. Instead, I put the Nazi flag in the thumbnail. But anyway, yeah, he's here because of the fact that he wants to help Lex out in a way, in order to help himself out, obviously. And that is the fact he wants to make a deal. I am here to bargain, Dormammu. And he needs help fighting the portal. So Lex apparently has a scanner, but Lex like, what am I gonna get in return? And Flag is like, redemption. And I'm like, what? What is that even supposed to mean? What do you mean, the redemption? Okay, he's also gonna be transferred out of the metahuman prison into a normal prison, which I feel like he's gonna break out of with the greatest of ease. But still, what? What does redemption mean? That's not really a good bargaining trick. Also, I've seen some people say that he feels different from his Superman days. Well, Superman was a couple of months ago. He's been utterly defeated since then and put in prison, so his attitude probably changed a bit. Also, I forgot to say that Harcourt and Chris, they argued also about the betrayal, which was never a betrayal to begin with. We cleared it up. But basically, Chris wants to know how she feels about him, and she's like, I'm a mess, so basically I can't feel anything in that sense. So even if I wanted to love you, I couldn't, that kind of stuff. So then also, Chris doesn't want to go back because of the fact that here his brother and his dad are alive. They are not absolute garbage, at least not yet. And also, he's dating this universe's version of Harcourt. So everything seems to be perfect. So then they walk through A.R.G.U.S. Meanwhile, the Harcourt of this universe arrives as well. So that's not really good. So then Adrian and other Adrian, they talk, and I respect him because he said his favorite Pokemon is Infernape. I love Infernape as well. Big fan of Infernape, but also it is respect because it's not a Kanto Pokemon. And this kind of makes up for trash-talking Pokemon earlier in this season. This makes up for it, okay, Adrian? Mad respects, but you should have said Sceptile. I'm still saying that. That is the best Pokemon ever. I don't care. But Infernape is a really good choice as well. I'm also a huge Infernape fan. The best firefighting type starter and one of the best fire starters ever. I don't really know who is better, but actually Infernape might be my favorite fire type starter Pokemon ever. Now that I think about it. Maybe. We'll put a pin in that one. That is a maybe. Also, Adrian loves Peacemaker, but other Adrian hates Peacemaker and apparently is part of the Sons of Liberty, so that is not good. So Leota decides to go for a walk, which, yeah, that's not a good idea because there's a woman who drives by and sees Leota and then immediately has like this look of disgust on her face and is like, ah, boy, yeah, okay. Also, the dad comes home and John now has to basically fight the dad, so that doesn't really go well. So then he decides to spill all the secrets to the dad, which is like, excuse me, what? He's like, look, I'm from a different universe and Peacemaker killed your son. It's like, what? Why would you say that last part? That first part was enough. So, yeah, the cat is out of the bag. So then everyone, also the brother drives by, sees Leota as well, but everyone gets out of their houses and start chasing Leota because, well, what Harcourt and Chris learn to end the episode. And that is the fact that, well, I don't know if it ends the episode. But anyway, Chris looks on a desk, grabs the American flag, and god dang it, Nazi symbol on there. Instead of the stars on there, you got the Nazi symbol. And I know people are going to use that. Like, lefties are going to make that thing their profile picture, for crying out loud. Which is weird, but whatever. Anyway, yeah, Earth X. This is not Earth 2. This is Earth X. I was almost happy to be on Earth 2, but nope. Earth X instead. And to be honest, I don't necessarily mind the fact that they are using the story of Earth X, but it's just the fact that there were no black people. Also, by the way, when I saw the picture initially, I was going to defend it in a way where it's like, well, to be honest, the people who live here, they don't know any better. The Nazis conquered this world, and they don't know, like, the kids that are growing up now, they are not inherently evil. However, they just grew up in the Nazi world in that sense. They don't know about another world. But then at the end of the episode, it's like, one of the blacks escaped. And I'm like, ah, for crying out loud. So they do know about black people. So apparently they do have black people in camps. God dang it. I was gonna defend it, but now I am retracting my statement. I'm distancing myself from all the people here on this earth because I thought, you know, Earth X, you know, like that was like 80 years ago when the Nazis won the World War. So you know how Nazis would do. They would kind of strip away all of history and be like, yeah, black people never existed to begin with. They don't exist. Goodbye. That kind of stuff. Who is even Martin Luther King Jr.? Who even is that fellow? I think he appeared in a Linkin Park song, but outside of that, who is he? But like that kind of stuff. And it's like, no, they actually just have black people in camps, which kind of find that weird, because why do you allow them to reproduce? Because eventually I feel like black people would just die out if they did not reproduce, kind of like every other species. But the fact that black people are still around kind of makes me think that they allow black people to reproduce. Really? Like, I thought they would put a stop there, but whatever. Anyway, yep, Nazi Earth, and that is what we have to deal with for the next 2 weeks, because yeah, well, 2 more episodes to go for this season, and I am very much enjoying this season. I like it a lot. I don't like the fact of the Nazi symbol on the American flag, but that is specifically because of the fact that lefties are gonna abuse that in order to make it seem like America is Nazi 2.0, which it's not at all. Like, I don't see in America people chasing down black people. I don't see that happen at all, okay? But hey, maybe that's just me. I don't live in America, so maybe I'm just, maybe I haven't seen the footage yet. But like I said, a light dictatorship, you can say, but you can't call it Nazi, because that just undermines how horrifying the Nazis were. Which, hopefully, this show is really gonna get into how horrible it is, and we really have to fight back against the Nazism, and I guess the Sons of Liberty were actually the good guys. Wow, who would have guessed? Who would have guessed? Well, everyone, apparently, because everyone guessed that this was going to be Nazi Earth. Anyway, I'm gonna call it a day here, so let me know what you guys thought about this episode. I love the return of Lex Luthor. I like the reveal of Nazi Earth, and I'm wondering how they're gonna handle that later. We already saw this earlier. We've already visited this Earth in the pre-multiversal reboot beforehand, which, by the way, I will say this again, for the people who do not know, the way that I see this whole universe happening is the fact that this is after the Crisis on Infinite Earth Arrowverse like crossover, where the reboot, like, you had the DCEU was rebooted into the DCU. So technically we already visited the Nazi Earth before the reboot with the Arrowverse Crisis on Earth X, which is their best crossover, and now we're visiting it again. So it's nice to be back. Well, it's not nice to be back, it's horrifying to be back, especially the fact that we have one black character with us. We should not have taken her with us, for our own safety, obviously. We should not have taken her with us. Just you stay behind in case Nazis happen, okay? Just you stay behind, you never know. But anyway, let me know what you guys thought about this episode in the comment section down below. And with that being said, thank you all so very much for watching, and I hope you guys have enjoyed. And if you did, please like button, subscribe if you haven't done so already, turn notifications, don't forget to check out the Let's Play channel, link in the description and at the end of the video. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for a Constructicon review, and also next week on Friday for another episode talk for Peacemaker. Bye!